When people ask me why I'm so healthy, I often present them with this analogy. If there was a car you were given to drive your entire life, would you treat it well? If there's a type of oil or fuel you could use with your car that would make it run smoother or make it last longer, would you use it? Of course you would. It's common sense. And it baffles me why people don't carry this logic over to their very own mind and bodies. Diet is one of the most important aspects in human health, and it seems America's a little bit challenged with this issue. According to the CDC, on their website, quote, the US obesity prevalence was 41.9% in 2017 to March 2020, end quote. The study's excluding COVID, so we can assume the numbers are a lot worse currently. The question becomes, are Americans lazy? Not necessarily. It really comes down to bad food culture and misinformation. One of the biggest reasons for this misinformation is US health and diet administrations being susceptible to corruption causing skewed data. One of the biggest scandals was the sugar industry's demonization of fat. So concerns of coronary heart disease, or CHD, came about in the 1950s. The sugar industry directly funded studies that manipulated data. The scandal is now admitted, and on the National Institution of Health's website, a 2016 study by JAM Internal Medicine reads, quote, our findings suggest the industry sponsored a research program in the 1960s and 1970s that successfully cast doubt about the hazards of sucrose while prompting fat as a dietary culprit in CHD. This demonization of fat is still lingering. Most people believe a natural saturated fat such as butter will clog your arteries in excess, but this is just not true. Further proving this argument, Harvard Magazine published an article, Is Butter Back? And an excerpt out of that reads, quote, eating foods rich in polyunsaturated fat will reduce the risk of heart disease and prevent insulin resistance. Second, replacing saturated fat with refined carbohydrates will not reduce heart disease risk. These sources are just a drop compared to the ocean of information compelling this argument. The horrible thing is that these corrupted studies are still being conducted today. A perfect example is Tufts University's Food Compass, funded by the National Institution of Health. In the section of cereal versus other foods, Lucky Charms is ranked higher or healthier than ground beef or an egg fried in butter. Anyone with a basic understanding of nutrition can see the issue in this. It has been revised, but is still a little skewed, and cereal is strangely overranked. With little research, you can find that the grain industry funded a portion of the study. Moving away from nutrition into something we don't even think about, like water. If you're drinking tap water, I have some unfortunate news for you. The studies are not promising into the cleanliness, amount of heavy metals, hormone disruptors, just naming a few. A huge problem is fluoride. It's a neurotoxin. It presents many risks. A 2022 publication by the National Toxicology Program reads, quote, the data support a consistent inverse association between fluoride exposure and children's IQ, end quote. This is just a small consequence from the devastating impact fluoride can have on the body. Fluoride is in all tap water, and it's currently added by water companies under the belief that it is necessary to prevent tooth decay. The CDC website defends this by saying, quote, this practice is known as community water fluoridation and reaches all people who drink that water. Given the dramatic decline in tooth decay during the past 70 years since community water fluoridation was initiated, end quote, it goes on to say how it's been very awarded. I left that last bit in to just reveal how bad that argument is. Humans are new to dental hygiene, and the first toothbrush was invented in 1780. So it's illogical to say, with this invention and attention to our teeth, that the next 100 years after that time, there's going to be a steady improvement in tooth decay. It's clear the government's very consistent with data. I'm not claiming a grand conspiracy. I'm just revealing known corruption that's motivated often by money. This touch of information from what's present should inspire you to do your own research. Is it better to be plant or animal based? Is buying organic important at all? These are all answers that you should ultimately come up with on your own. Ultimately, health is the biggest factor for a sustainable life. Your mind and body are your core. It's how you interact with the world. If this message can improve anybody in one way or another, make you more capable, make you more happy, that would be amazing. Thank you for listening to my message.